So we drove to Colorado with a plan, and the plan was to camp at a campground for a couple of days to get acclimated to the altitude, because the one thing we weren't able to train for, obviously, in Pennsylvania was the altitude. So we were a little concerned about that. So we decided to stay at a campground for a couple of days and see if we couldn't get acclimated. So after picking Ricky up at the airport, we headed to the high country. We stopped in a town called Dillon, I believe it was Dillon, and spent the night there. Because we had picked Ricky up to like 3:30 and it was a 4-hour drive to where we were going. We decided to get a hotel room, take a nap, good night's sleep, and then head up to the high country. We spent the first couple days just driving around, checking areas out. I believe day 3 we were still at the campground. We did hike in 9 miles on a trail and discovered a lot of people and not many elk. It was Labor Day weekend, and we found out later a very popular hiking spot, and we saw a tremendous amount of people. So we kind of decided that probably wasn't where we needed to go, and we packed up at the campground and we headed off to a new spot. This spot really looked promising on the map, and it turned out to be pretty decent, but there wasn't any water, and that leads to some issues later. And what we thought was supposed to be water on our map was dried up, so we had some issues. But we also found elk sign, and we were in, so that was good. Here we are, we finally made it. Getting camp set up. We got shit everywhere. Pretty nice spot, though. I mean, just look at that view there. So we're going to be in here for 2 days. We're going to be here for 2 days. And we're going to ride around, do a little hiking, check some things out, and figure out where we want to go in at. So that's the game plan so far. It's hot. I don't know if you can appreciate how steep it is or hear me talking with the wind blowing, but there's one of my partners. Aaron's behind him. I have never before wind I've never hunted in scenery like this in my life. I am having an absolute fantastic time. Other than I'm soaked. Incredible. I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding from the words I spit. So sharp, so freezing, so cold. Behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts peeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. And I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by the night, I be Hey, it is almost 11 o'clock. We had quite a day.
Ricky, I'm gonna move your bow. That's fine.
I fell, smashed my quiver, but my bow seems to be okay. Matt waded ass deep in mud to get us water, and we did see a big bull elk. But we're exhausted, and we're hoping we have enough water to get us to the creek tomorrow. Also, we couldn't find camp after we got water. We've learned some very valuable lessons today. Hopefully we're smarter tomorrow. Good night. Well, we made it through the night. We listened to bugles all night. Slept okay. Got cold. Not real cold though. No frost. We were out of water. The boys went to get water. They have to hike a mile to get to the creek. Well, they call it a river. We call it a creek. But I told them if I get down, I probably won't be able to make it back up. So they told me just to stay here, go get down and fill up everything we have to hold water and come back up. Get us through. We should have enough water then to get us through today and part of tomorrow. So, wish us luck. Here's a little tour of our camp. That's sort of the gathering place. That's my garbage from breakfast. See that little pot right there? That's the little pot, has all the water I have in it. We got it out of a mud puddle yesterday. Literally, I'll put pictures up here of Matt up to his ass in the mud getting water. It was a hell of a mess. You gotta have water. Lessons learned. We've learned a lot of lessons. So far, I've fallen, cut myself, smashed my quiver. It's destroyed. Luckily the broadheads are still covered. I have it taped back onto my bow. Bow seems to shoot okay. Ricky smashed his shin trying to run away from a beehive. And Matt was ass deep in mud trying to get us water. Elk hunting's not easy.
Dad, you out there?
Hang on, mule deer.
Hey everybody, little update. So it's day what, 4 or 5. I've hunted all morning, haven't seen anything, saw some sign. Matt's sick in the tent, and Ricky was sitting at the water wallow. The boys hiked down and got water yesterday and brought back to camp. Matt overdid it, got overheated, threw up all night. He quit throwing up about 2 a.m. We got some drugs in him, so he's resting. The plan is pack up camp when he's up to it and head for town, get a room, get some showers. Ricky's getting a rental car because he's flying out. What's Friday or Saturday, so he's going to get a rental car to drive back to Denver. And Matt and I are going to recuperate a day or two, and then we're going to give her the last hurrah for the last 5 or 6 days. So that's where we're at. Check in later. Alright guys, little update. Obviously I'm not on the mountain. We came to town. We needed a bath. A bath and a nice bed to sleep in for a couple nights. I'm going to do laundry tomorrow. Try to find an archery shop and get some equipment repaired. And back up on the mountain on Sunday. So we'll check back in later. We got Ricky on a plane, and now it's 2:30. Matt and I are going back in. This time we have 6 liters of water each, so hopefully we can stay a day or two, because it's a mile through hell to get water. So I'm not expecting us to make it where we want to go till dark, but that's okay. We'll get up early in the morning and be right in bed with them. I hope, if they're where we left them. Check in later. Huh. Yeah. Yeah. It opened up real nice here. Oh, thank goodness. 50 yards with no blowdowns. This is why it takes 2 or 3 hours to go a mile, because you're fighting everything the whole way. I hate blowdowns. When you do finally get up here a little high, this is the view you're rewarded with. But it's a lot of work to get here. Deal. wallow. It's the only water. It's been out in the house for a long ways. We're seeing a lot of fresh signs of the Elk Hunt talking. So our plan is to hike back up there. It's a mile and see what that wall is too dark. And after that, depending on what we see, we'll determine whether we're going to be down for water and stay here tomorrow morning, or if we're going to just go down and get out of here. We have 4 liters left, 5 liters. So we're just going to, when we get back tonight, we're going to put a liter in our water bladders to make sure we each have a liter to get out of here. And then whatever's left we use for supper and breakfast in the morning. So that's where we're at. Check in later. How beautiful sunset is. Purple Mountain's Majesty. We're headed back to camp. We found a lot of sign and we don't want to screw it up and run them out of there. We called a little bit. Nothing happened. So we're going to go set up camp here in this little grove of trees right over here. We already dropped our stuff. So I'll check in again to get camp set up. This is an elk trail we're following. Get up on this bench. Up on top here. Where we camped the other day. And work our way out to where we can see the elk. Look fresh. How are we doing? I'm doing good. Taking a little break. Alright, little update. Just realized I haven't for a while. Yesterday we hiked 4 miles out the mountain back to the trailhead and we changed units. We drove 3 hours to a new unit. We didn't get here till about 4 o'clock. It was 5 o'clock till we left the trailhead. So we hiked in as far as we could. It's about a mile and a half, and it's getting dark, so we looked for a spot to camp. So we camped here. We're packing up now. We're going to head on in. It's in the 30s this morning. It's pretty chilly, so it's good for hiking, but it was cold getting up. Slept okay. Pretty warm. Matt said he got a little cold, but all in all, we're doing well. getting packed up here and getting moving. Check in later. Huh?
They're froze together.
Oh, they're froze together? Here's a look. They're getting packed up. Matt said his tent poles are frozen together. It was pretty chilly this morning. We're gonna fill up our water and hike on in. Look at what we found. That's where we're gonna be tonight. See the sun. It's there somewhere.
I think that we've all had enough. Keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with this.
Feels much more like hunting. A lot less like sweating. Well, you got your Judo point in there.
Yeah, well, if you want to come back,
I just stuck mine in my bag with my tools.
you're holding the only tool I really got.
No, with my like Allen wrench and my with my Allen wrench, my spare battery, my archery, little archery kit. What? Oh man, that's right.
Can I borrow your stuff?
Absolutely.
How much fuel do you got?
I got a full can just about. So, a little recap of the day's events. We found a wallow, as you saw. We sat on it this evening. The only thing we saw was Matt saw a mule deer. But this cold front came in, and we've been listening to bugles and chuckles and fighting this evening so far. So hopefully tomorrow they're talking, we can find them. They're definitely here. Tomorrow's the last day, we're gonna give her hell. Check in later.
Good morning. It's the last day. They're finally bugling. We got one to answer. We haven't heard them for a while. So we're just working our way straight up the mountain while we have the wind. It's steep though. going up to 10.5. We're 500 feet from the top. He quit bugling a while ago. We just kept coming up. I think we're gonna take a break for a while. Maybe an hour or so, and then work to the top. And see what happens this afternoon. Hopefully they get their cows bedded and get fired up again. We'll check in after bed. Good morning, everyone. It's our last day, last morning. We're tearing down Elk Camp, and we're gonna hike out to the truck and head for PA. Rained last night twice. Of course, we've been wanting rain for 2 weeks. And the last night it rains. Yesterday we chased bugles up the mountain. We couldn't manage to get in the same level of him. He just kept pushing. We believe he was just pushing his cows up to bed. We couldn't catch him. Our plan was to get up there and just hang out for the afternoon and try to get them fired up after the cows got bedded, but it started sleeting, and us two newbies, we decided we didn't want to be at 10.5 in the sleet trying to get back down. So we just headed back down to camp. We got back down about 2:30, 3 o'clock. And it was wet and slippery, but we made it and we took our time. So that'll do it for the 2022 elk season. I think we did pretty good. The 2 goals I had set were to get within range of a bull. We did that on the 3rd day, to see elk and prove our woodsmanship, and we did that. We learned quite a few lessons, and we'll go over those in the recap. So we're going to get packed up and get out of here before it rains again. Everybody take care, and God bless.
You know, I said one point in a video, I think I was in the tent, that we learned quite a few lessons, and we did. And as we would learn a lesson, I would put it in my phone in the notes. So I thought maybe you'd enjoy some of the lessons we learned. I titled it Things I've Learned Elk Hunting. And number 1, everything takes longer than you think. Okay, just because you look on your mapping app and it's 3/4 to a mile, and you think, oh, well, that should take about an hour and a half. It's going to take you 4 hours. All right, everything takes longer than you think, so you need to plan that out and think about that. Got us in trouble a couple times, especially dealing with the water issue. That's number 2 on the list. Always take extra water when you're not 100% sure of your water source. That was probably the biggest issue we had. We're from Pennsylvania, and we have water everywhere. In the summertime, we live in a tropical rainforest. All right, it's wet, damp, muggy, and there's a lot of water. And we learned very quickly out west that's not the case at all. So we hiked into this area and we got into some elk, but we didn't have any water. And the boys hiked out, and you saw the pictures. Matt trying to get us, we got enough water to get through the night, and then the boys hiked out to the next morning to get water, but they got in some trouble coming back. Matt got overheated. We had to go get him, and he was sick. He was pretty sick, and thank goodness he's a nurse, I'm a paramedic, so we had some stuff that most people wouldn't have, and we were able to get him fixed up and able to hike out of there with no problems. But water is definitely an issue. The next thing on my list, camp close to water if you can. That goes with number 2, I guess. Number 4, bring extra calls because you will lose them. All right. The first week, by day like 3, like the 3rd day we went hunting, I lost all my elk calls. I lost a bugle tube. I lost my external cow call. I lost them all. I lost everything. So always take extra calls. The mountain eats stuff. It does. It just, eats stuff. We destroyed so much gear and lost so much gear. I don't know how, or we were trying to be careful. Ricky lost his whole quiver of arrows. It's just crazy. Going through that brush and climbing over blowdowns, and you just stuff just disappears. And I left my phone lay at one point. Now luckily I knew right where I left it lay, and I was able to hike it. We were only like 100 yards or so away. I hiked back and got it, but geez, you gotta be careful. So bring extra calls and be careful with your gear. Number 5, you need to have tough gear. It's worth every penny spending the extra money and getting the high-end stuff. When I fell, I broke my Matthews quiver, but my bow was just fine. I couldn't imagine the abuse we put it through. The Spot Hog sight, it did fine. It was dirty. I cleaned it up, but we just beat the crap out of stuff. The First Light gear, the corrugate foundry pants I was wearing, I don't think any other pair of pants would have withstood the abuse. And thank God for the knee pads. That saved me so many injuries. It was good stuff. Good gear was well worth it. Matt, I tried the last 4 or 5 months, tried to talk him into a new pack. He had a backpack from Bass Pro Shop, and it was great for backpacking, but I tried to tell him, maybe you need to get a new backpack, and he kept saying, nah, the pack's fine, the pack's fine. Well, the pack fell apart. So we had to engineer it back together to get him off the mountain. The one outside pouch came apart. The stitching came apart. There was a big hole in it. His chest strap broke, and that was a real killer. Luckily I had some zip ties, and we could zip tie it back on and get him off the mountain. But after the first week, when we went to town, we went to a archery pro shop, so I needed a quiver, and we needed some elk calls, and and Matt actually wound up buying a new backpack because, boy, you can't be in the mountain and have your backpack fall apart. That's just no good. Man, it's a very important lesson we learned. Number 6, make sure you have it before you leave the trailhead. Because just because you think you have it doesn't mean you do. You probably don't. So always check your gear. Don't just assume you have stuff packed. And we found this happened to us a couple of times. We get to the trailhead and we'd be in a hurry, get our stuff thrown in and get moving. And we get down the trail and realize we forgot something. So luckily it wasn't anything major. Matt forgot a can of fuel one time. I forgot my rain gear one time. So luckily it wasn't anything critical, but just double check and make sure you have all your gear before you head down the trail. So those were the lessons, the notes I took, lessons we learned, and we will be applying them the next time we go. We had a blast. I can't wait to go again. It's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, but boy was it fun. We had a great time. So I can't wait to get out there again. We're getting ready here for the PA archery season. We're scrambling around because obviously when we come back, we only have 2 weeks till the season starts, and it actually starts this coming Saturday. So I'm all ready, but it took a little bit of work to get adjusted and get things straightened out. So that's it for my lessons I learned. As far as the camping gear, we did fine with the gear we had, and I'll do a video on the gear I took. I didn't change too much from my normal backpacking gear. However, I did learn, this is probably number 7, backpack hunting is not backpacking. It is tremendously harder. Alright, you're not following trails, you're following elk. And you're climbing over stuff, around stuff, and through stuff. But it is a lot of work. And we took all this fancy stuff we were gonna cook, like the instant mashed potatoes and chicken. I took some chicken in a bag, which is very heavy. I took dry gravy, and even stovetop stuffing. You can mix all that stuff up in your pot, boil it up, and I've done it backpacking, and it's fantastic. But you are so exhausted when you're done hunting for the day. You just want to get your camp set up, dump some boiling water in a bag, shovel it in your head, and go to bed. You don't want to mess around with all that stuff. Plus, it's heavy. Yeah, we're not backpacking. All you want to do is eat and go to bed. So that's a change we're going to make for the next time too. Is we're just going to stick with the Mountain House type meals, and ramen, and stuff that doesn't weigh much, because you're just too tired to be screwing around with that fancy stuff. So that's it. Getting ready for the PA opener here. PA archery season starts in a week, and we're ready to get out there and get after it. So everybody take care, and God bless.